Everyone laughs when Paddy Pimblett says he'd beat Islam Makhachev. But what if he's not as crazy as people think? Paddy. The Paddy Pimblett is loud, wild, and impossible to ignore. But behind the jokes, the hair, and the Scouser swag, there's one thing Paddy's dead serious about. He truly believes he can beat Islam Makhachev, and he said it without blinking. We'll break and fight history, including why Paddy's unorthodox style might cause more problems than people expect, especially if Islam underestimates him. So if you're here to laugh it off, stick around. Because by the end of this video, you might not just take Paddy seriously. You might actually start believing him. So let's start with the question everyone's asking when they hear Paddy Pimblett say he'd beat Islam Makhachev. Is he just talking for clout, or does he actually believe it? Simple answer, Paddy 100% believes it. And to understand why, you've got to know who he really is. Not just the haircut, the accent, or the post-fight twerking, but the mindset behind the madness. Because Paddy the Baddy is more than just a character. He's a fighter's fighter. This is a guy who's been competing since his teens, training since he was 14, and grinding through amateur and pro circuits in the UK, long before the UFC even looked his way. And through it all, he never lacked one thing: unshakable self-belief. He said it in one, "I'll give them a fight, and I'll beat most of them. In fact, all of them." That includes Islam. Now, to most fans, that sounds outrageous. Islam is the champ. He's dominated everyone in front of him with that classic Dagestani pressure, elite wrestling, airtight control, and that sneaky power. He made Charles Oliveira tap. He went 5 tough rounds with Volkanovski and came out on top. But to Paddy, that just means the challenge is worth chasing. Because this guy isn't wired like the rest. He's fought through injuries, setbacks, criticism, and still comes out smiling, dancing, and ready to throw hands. And he's got a legitimate base: black belt level jiu-jitsu, underrated boxing, and cardio that gets slept on because of the chaos he brings. And behind that confidence, there's purpose. Because for Paddy, it's not just about proving something to the fans, it's about proving something to himself. He's turned down the UFC twice in his past. Not because he didn't want it, but because he knew he wasn't ready. Now, he's climbing the rankings, finishing fights, and evolving with every step. And when he says he can beat Islam, it's not some marketing play. It's personal vision. He sees Islam as the peak of the mountain. And Paddy has always said, "I was made to be on top." Whether you believe him or not doesn't really matter. He does. And that kind of belief, that kind of fearless energy, it's what makes this sport fun. It's what gets people tuning in. Because love him or hate him, Paddy's not afraid to say what he thinks or fight who he wants. Alright, now that we know Paddy Pimblett genuinely believes he can beat Islam Makhachev, the next question is, can his style actually threaten Islam's game plan? And the surprising answer is yes, in a few very real ways. Let's break this down. Islam Makhachev's strength is no mystery. It's pressure wrestling, positional dominance, and submission setups. He gets in your face, drags you down, and slowly drowns you. And most of his opponents, even the elite ones, can't do much to stop it. But here's where Paddy comes in different. People often label Paddy as just a hype guy or a wild striker. But under all the chaos, he has one thing that's rare in the lightweight division: a fully unpredictable and awkwardly dangerous style. Let's start with his ground game, because that's where Islam likes to control people. Paddy is a legit black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. His scrambles are slick, his guard is active, and unlike most of Islam's past opponents, Paddy is dangerous off his back. You take him down, you're not safe. You're in a fight for wrist control, triangle setups, or even unexpected transitions. We've seen him pull flying triangles, arm bars, and chokes from angles that don't even look real. And when things hit the mat, he doesn't just survive, he attacks. Now, does that mean he'll out-grapple Islam? Not likely. But it does mean Islam would have to think twice before diving in like he usually does. And that hesitation, that half second of doubt, that's where Paddy gets tricky. Because let's not forget, Paddy's striking may not be technical perfection, but it's chaotic, and chaos can work. He throws from weird angles, uses wild feints, mixes in kicks, and has zero fear of getting hit. And when you mix that in with the crowd energy he brings, the moment can feel overwhelming, even for the most composed fighters. And then there's the mental side. Paddy doesn't freeze up. He feeds off pressure. The bigger the fight, the looser he gets. Islam, he's composed. Yes, but he's also shown that he can be tagged. Volkanovski stunned him. Moicano had moments. Even in total control, Islam isn't untouchable. Paddy's style, built on relentless forward motion, awkward angles, and surprise submissions, may be the exact kind of chaos that throws Islam out of rhythm. Now look, is Paddy the favorite in that fight? Number. But if you're Islam's team, you can't watch Paddy's tape and shrug it off. He doesn't fight by the book. And the fighters who don't follow the rules? They're the ones that break systems. So could Paddy's style cause problems for Islam? Absolutely. Because if Islam makes one mistake, just one, Paddy has the kind of toolkit that can flip everything. So now let's talk about the big one. How close is Paddy Pimblett really to a UFC lightweight title shot? Because a lot of people hear him call out Islam Makhachev and just laugh it off, like it's a fantasy. But here's the truth, it's not that far off, and it's getting closer by the fight. Let's look at where he stands right now. Paddy Pimblett is undefeated in the UFC, riding a 7-fight win streak, and just cracked into the top 15 after choking out Bobby Green, something nobody else in the division has done in years. And yeah, we get it. Early in his UFC run, the matchups were softer. He wasn't fighting top contenders, but that's how most UFC stars build. Conor, Sean O'Malley, Khamzat, they all had their warm-up stretch. Now Paddy's moving up. He's getting co-main events. He's headlining European cards. And every time he fights, the crowd explodes. That matters a lot. The UFC doesn't just book the best versus best, they book what sells, and Paddy sells. Whether fans want to see him win or get knocked out, they're watching. The hype is real, and Dana White knows it. But what about competition? Well, he's already passed some key tests. Jordan Levitt was a tricky grappler. Paddy choked him out. Jared Gordon was experienced. Paddy outlasted him. And Bobby Green, he'd never been submitted. Paddy did it in round 1. Every time people doubt him, he proves something new. That's how contenders are built. Now, will he jump straight into a title shot tomorrow? Number. But let's say he wins 1 or 2 more, especially against a top 10 name, and does it in Paddy fashion. We're talking early finish, wild crowd, post-fight call-out. It's on the table. Because here's the thing, the UFC lightweight division is stacked, but it's also stuck. Dustin, Justin, and Chandler are all circling the same fights. Arman is rising, but doesn't move the needle yet. Islam needs fresh names, and Paddy brings that instant storyline. Imagine the promos. Scouser versus Dagestani. Showman versus Silent Killer. Paddy's mouth versus Islam's discipline. It would be massive, and if you think it's impossible, just remember, this is the same sport where Bisping won the title on short notice, where Sean Strickland shocked the world, where careers can change in one night. Paddy knows that. He's not asking for the belt now, he's building the pressure. Because once he breaks into the top 10, he's 1 win away from being undeniable. So how far is he from a title shot? Closer than people think. And Islam? He might want to start paying attention, because if the baddie keeps winning, there won't be any place left to hide. Paddy Pimblett isn't your typical contender. He's messy, he's unpredictable, he talks big, but behind the haircut, the post-fight dancing, and the non-stop energy, is a fighter who believes every word he says. And that's what makes this story so dangerous. He's not bluffing. He's not playing a character. Paddy really believes he can beat Islam Makhachev, and now he's finally backing it up with wins that matter. He's in the rankings, he's finishing veterans, and he's moving faster than people expected. You might laugh at the idea now, but 1 or 2 more big wins, and no one's laughing anymore. Because Paddy isn't chasing the belt just to hold it. He's chasing legacy. He wants to go from Cage Warriors champ to UFC champ, just like McGregor. He wants to prove that heart, chaos, and belief can crack through the most technical fighter in the game. And maybe, just maybe, he can. So whether you think Paddy is delusional or destined, it doesn't matter. Because if this fight ever happens, you'll be watching. We all will. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Does Paddy even stand a chance against Islam Makhachev, or is this just another viral dream? Smash that like button if you're down to see this wild matchup happen, and subscribe now, so you don't miss the next chapter in this insane ride. Because love him or hate him, Paddy the Baddie is coming. And if things keep going like this, Islam won't be able to ignore him for much longer.